Even though it was more than 25 years ago, I can still remember how it felt to sit on the floor of my dad's office and listen to him run his publishing business. I remember the smell of the cigarette smoke wafting across his desk and the clicking sound of typewriters as my dad and Peter, his business partner, did their work. Sometimes they'd have long, involved discussions as they'd plan and strategize, often with a little cussing thrown in, or talk about their clients. I had a front row seat to the operations of a successful business. You might think a little kid would be bored, but I absorbed everything I could. Even as I grew into a teenager, that fascination never faded. My questions got smarter. I asked a lot of them because I wanted to know how my dad made the decisions I watched him make. He was happy to answer them. My dad also asked me questions. My favorite times were when he'd test my learning. "Okay, imagine you're the boss," he'd say, and describe a complicated problem. "What would you do?" I'd put a lot of thought into my answer and propose a solution. Whether it was on target or totally stupid, my dad would walk me through what he thought of it. Sometimes I'd even hear the best possible response. Guess what? That's exactly what we did. Talk about a confidence booster. I basically had my own personal MBA program at my fingertips from the time I was old enough to read. When I look back on my own success, I know a huge part of it is how business is practically written into my DNA. The biggest takeaway, though, you've got to be resilient. You see, my dad wasn't always on top. He went from making tons of money to near bankruptcy many times throughout my childhood. The 1990s were especially tough on his business. One year, my brother and I would be living in a big house and going on vacations and to sleepaway camp. The next, we had downsized, and we spent the summer bussing tables. The lesson I learned wasn't just what to do when you're on top. It was how to manage the bad times and climb back from the bottom. My family knows that cycle of riches and ruin better than many, because it has followed that cycle for generations. To escape the Nazis, my Jewish grandfather moved to China. That's where my dad was born. After the war, they moved to England, where he met his future wife and my future mom. Her mother had escaped Nazi-controlled Poland, and her dad fought for the British in World War II. When they got married, my parents moved first to Canada, then to Miami in the late 1970s. In the early 80s, my brother and I were born there. All of that moving proves the adaptability of the people in my family. We roll with change and bounce back stronger.